Hi everyone. This video will be an educational video on colorblind racism. The purpose of this video is to take a deeper dive into the concept and just get a better understanding of its implications and overall answer the question, what is colorblind racism? So some of the key components. Colorblind racism is the concept of not seeing race, but believing that you're treating everyone equally. And just overall a really big piece of it is saying, I don't see race. This first emerged following the civil rights era. Eduardo Silva claims that colorblind racism shifted from overt racism, which was before the civil rights era, before people started speaking up for their individual rights and freedoms, and it shifted over to a more subtle discrimination, which is what we see and which is what we know as the concept of colorblind racism. It overall minimalizes race and is the belief that race does not matter in social interactions. So a little bit of a deeper understanding. Freire brings up the conversation of oppression versus liberation. Oppression is described as the overwhelming control, and it ties into the banking model of education, which is teaching students to be passive recipients of their learning and ultimately limiting their critical thinking. And then on the other hand, there's the liberation, which is described as the praxis and is the process of humanization, which we will touch more into in part two. But an important piece is using dialogue as a tool for liberation and creating environments where you can have conversations and encouraging individuals to act against their oppression in their personal lives. Chapman brings up the conversation of social justice, which is just making sure that every individual, no matter the color of their race, is getting the same access to different things. So, what kinds of issues do we start to see? We start to see racial inequality. Colorblind racism can lead to a number of implications, but we start to see racial disparities or racial inequalities, which lead to different disparities. And this can be seen in areas like education, healthcare, employment, economic, and housing. And this is just the idea of race being a factor of why you either can't get certain things or you're placed in certain areas and things like that. We start to see an impact. Just overall, it diminishes the lived experiences of people of color and it silences individuals while creating a false sense of progress and ultimately creating the illusion of racial equality. So just saying that we're at a certain spot when we're not, and it's trying to create this overall illusion. And then we start to see microaggressions, which is telling individuals that overall telling individuals that their lived experiences aren't valid as the reality of colorblind racism, but these microaggressions start to tie in and they can lead to instances where we start to see a more subtle form of racism. Um, and it leads to just overall inequalities that just aren't fair. And I thank you for watching this video and hope you learned a little bit more about colorblind racism.